James Matthewson, a political commentator who joins us on this sunny, sweltering Monday morning. Very good morning to you, James.
Good morning, Julia. I don't know where the sun is for me, unfortunately. It's not nowhere to be seen.
Where are you?
I'm in Edinburgh, so the sun's
there you
never
are.
seen.
That's Scotland.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done the Edinburgh Festival many a time, and it basically just rains. It's as simple as that. But what can you do?
It certainly does.
Good, miserable grey morning to our Scottish cousins. What can I say? Let's get straight to it. Labour have freed, we now know, 26,000 prisoners early, trying to free up prison spaces. Admittedly, a problem. They were left by the Conservatives after 14 years in power, no question about that. But some of those include people who were sentenced to 10 years plus who've been out on the streets early. Yeah, they'd be out on the streets at some point, but out on the street early. But they also now want to deport foreign criminals before they even go to prison in the first place for certain countries, only a limited number of countries, but they could be deported. But they may never serve a minute behind bars in the country of origin. What do you make about those two policies?
Really difficult one, isn't it? I think the situation that faces... Yeah, I think the challenge that faces the prison estate as a whole is systematic. And for me, you look at one aspect of it, you look at another, it needs complete reform. And many people have said the same for a long time.
Can we just put up some prisons very quickly? So just particularly for the people who are low risk, and literally we just put up some prison camps, nice and quick. There you go, put them in there.
I mean, the thing is to try and, make sure that people are even rehabilitated properly to even...
We ain't doing that anymore.
Prison. It doesn't even happen, does it?
Nope.
It doesn't work for people. People going to prison for most crimes doesn't even benefit society as a whole. The whole point of prison is to remove people from society, from the rest of us, who are dangerous.
Yep.
The majority of people in there are not of that caliber, I'm afraid. The majority of people in prison or who've served in prison in and out consecutively have learning difficulties, and it's one of these things that hasn't been addressed for years and years and years. Now the prison population's overflown. The government wants to do something quick about it. I don't envy them. I don't know what the quick fixes are myself.
I don't think they've got learning difficulties, but an awful lot of people have got, basically they've had rotten childhoods, they've been failed by their parents, failed by society, failed by schools, failed by the whole system, and we could have perhaps got to a lot of them much earlier and prevented these awful lives. But at the point where they are who they are, yeah, I'd rather they were behind bars.
I mean, not everyone though, is it, Julia? It depends on the crime they've committed.
Yeah.
I just don't. If you take something like drug offences, I am sick to death of seeing people in prison for drug offences in this country. Do you know how much money we could be making?
Depends what kind of drug offence. You go to prison if you're dealing drugs. You don't go to prison if you're caught with a wacky backy ciggy.
No, that's not the case. I mean,
you really don't go to prison for that.
They've still tried with heroin addicts, with A-class offenders, people who are called Karen, people who are involved in that and the paraphernalia of drugs, unfortunately are still demonised and still criminalised.
They're usually behind bars because of all the crimes they've committed to fund their habit.
That are linked to their drug use, exactly. But this is the whole problem, is that the war on drugs, kind of started under the Tony Blair era, just hasn't worked. And I think areas like that are the places where you could make real cost savings.
Well, unfortunately, the rehabilitation rate, even in places like the Priory, when they're paying an absolute fortune, are very, very, very low. And if someone is going to be a heroin addict or any other kind of addict, and they haven't got the money to fund that habit while they're paying criminals, then they are going to be stealing. And I'd rather those people were behind bars and not my problem.
No, I'm afraid I disagree with you.
You want them to be my problem?
Won't be the first thing we disagree about.
We have heroin addicts like sleeping rough on the streets near me, sleeping in doorways, and they're actually taking their drugs in public. There are 4 primary schools like within 50 yards.
These things can be addressed. I mean, there's been great schemes.
Yeah, get them off the streets.
Been hugely successful with the likes of fixed rooms, rooms where these people can go to, places where they can go and take drugs safely.
And how are they paying for those drugs?
And you can minimise.
How are they paying for those drugs? They're stealing.
Because the knock-on effect on the NHS is cost-wise.
How are they paying for those drugs? They're stealing.
Well, the knock-on effect of this is anyway that there's a cost on the NHS. I'm not saying provide people free heroin. I'm just saying.
So they're stealing it then.
Spaces.
Well, exactly. So they're stealing it.
Where the paraphernalia can be provided for free. Like, look, crimes happen, criminal activity happens. The most part because of poverty, as we know. So
Look,
if
what do you know what? A bit of an
you
insult,
reduce
actually, to people who've grown up in poverty who don't commit crime. Actually, the vast majority of people who grow up,
self-included, yeah.
they don't commit crime, actually. It's quite an insult. Let's look. I want to talk about something else because time is tight. Robert Jenrick, the Shadow Justice Secretary, wrote in the Mail on Sunday yesterday that he is personally, worried for the safety of his own 3 daughters because of the Channel migrants and the level of criminality we've been seeing and the number of sexual assaults and alleged rapes and the like that we've seen, which have been alleged to be committed, some actually convictions from people who have been living in those asylum hotels. Is that a justified concern for a dad?
Robert Jenrick is someone who is now consistently using the language of those people in Reform UK. He's looked to America.
How outrageous.
Donald Trump. Well, I mean, come on, the Tories were in power for, the past 14 years before Labour. He's acting like he was never part of any of those previous governments. The man is now coming out with this language to sound strong in an attempt to, now that he's had his Ozempic and he's slimmed down, he's got himself in a leadership position he feels comfortable with. He wants to now move in on Kemi Badenoch's very weak leadership of the Conservative Party, and he hopes to try and kill off that reform threat by echoing them entirely.
Okay, those are his tactics, yeah. But is it fair? Are you saying he's a dad of 3 daughters and he's not worried and he's lying, or is he worried and it's justified?
He should be very worried, as anybody should be, who cares about women, because we've seen the threat of violence against women and girls increase around the globe. For me, it's nothing. I
don't think we have, actually. I don't think that is true. I think we haven't seen a specific rise in the threat to women, particularly from particularly men arriving in this country who have, as he described, a medieval attitude towards women.
Yeah, I know plenty of people in the Conservative Party who have medieval attitude towards women, Julia. It's nothing new. Misogyny is not new.
Well, thinking that you can just grab a woman in the street and rape her, or grab a 12-year-old. Do you think that's a normal attitude in the... No, seriously. Do you think that's a normal, typical attitude in the Tory party, or indeed any political party in this country?
I don't think it's a normal attitude across the board, by the way. That's not how most of these crimes are committed.
No,
and it's
it is a very normal attitude of men who've arrived from certain countries.
I'm sorry, it absolutely is not. To believe
Have you done much travelling, James?
Statistically, I'm sorry, it's always anecdotal, isn't it, Julie? Because
it's not anecdotal. The stats are very, very clear about the rates of sexual assault and rape, arrests and convictions of people from certain foreign countries.
If you're talking about percentages, then we can talk percentages. 25% of the Reform UK MPs have a criminal conviction for beating women.
Oh, for goodness! He's not a Reform MP anymore, to be fair, James McMurdoch.
That's a statistic.
But we're talking about per capita in terms of over-representation, in terms of the number of people in this country.
Well, there isn't an over-representation of asylum seekers and sexual assault cases. There simply isn't.
There is no representation from people of certain nationalities in our prisons who are convicted.
But this is what you deem to be certain nationalities. What you're talking about.
What do we deem to be? I mean, that's not a complicated. For instance, Albanians. Albanians are overrepresented.
What's an Albanian?
What on earth does that mean? What do you class
as an Albanian?
Someone who is an Albanian national.
Right, and they're here claiming asylum, or they
I was talking about... You're the one who keeps going on about asylum seekers. I'm talking about migrants to this country. We have a massive overrepresentation, for instance, of men from Pakistan, a particular area in Pakistan, in the grooming gangs. In terms of per capita, number of Pakistani men in area where these crimes are taking place, massively overrepresented. There is a particular issue with men coming from countries where they have a very, as I agree with Robert Jenrick, medieval attitude towards women and girls in terms of their rights and how they should dress and how they should behave and what they are for, which leads to a growing problem. I talk to the young women in my office and what they are dealing with on the streets routinely in London, and it is definitely something they have seen an increase in, and it is largely from men who are speaking with foreign accents. Nothing to do with the colour of their skin. Sorry, I know that's too anecdotal for you, but they're probably all lying, aren't they?
It is too anecdotal. They're not lying, no. But I believe there is an absolute crisis of misogyny taking place because we are seeing it rampant across the board. We're seeing it with kids in schools. We're seeing it online with people like
probably all Andrew Tate's fault, isn't it? Yeah.
Not all Andrew Tate's fault. He's a symptom of a wider problem.
Exactly.
Listen, he's somebody who's cashing in on it. That's what he's doing.
That's true.
But at the end of the day, people like Donald Trump, people in positions of power who themselves are sex offenders.
Oh, yes. I completely accept that. I completely accept that.
If you've got them people running the world, what do you expect the world to look like?
Well, again, I'm not entirely sure we're talking about the same level, but there we are. Palestine Action. Should those 522 people have been arrested on Saturday?
It's a difficult one. They should be, I understand that they've been arrested because they've shown support for a prescribed organisation. You won't see me out there saying saying those words and holding up a sign because I know I'm going to be arrested for doing so. But I understand their point because being arrested has long been historically a form of protest.
Well, then why are they moaning about being arrested? They got what they wanted.
When you believe that those laws are incorrect, as they will be, because there will be a challenge in the court. The government is wrong on this, and it should not be wasting the taxpayers' money.
So the security agencies that believe that they are a terrorist group, they're wrong too, yeah? They're definitely wrong. And those pensioners and retired librarians and vicars, they know more about it than the security agencies.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
And I'm sorry, when it comes to it, you've got groups like Britain First wandering the street and not being prescribed, calling for migrant hotels to be burnt down to the ground. If they've done that, they should be charged with a crime. 100%, they should be charged. I believe they probably have been the people who have done so. Yeah, but they've not been prescribed, have they? The Labour government haven't prescribed.
I think there's a specific thing, isn't it, regarding particular terror, whether an organisation is a terrorist group.
Yeah, but it was only this event breaking into an RAF base, which again they used every ability they could. They were just looking for an excuse to try and prescribe them. It's trying to bow down to Israel and show them.
Well, seriously, you think this government has got a history of bowing down to Israel?
I think there's a huge. Listen, I've been in the Labour Party. I know the problems in the Labour Party with how much power the Israeli lobby has on it. It's unfortunately
it's the Jews, not the Jews
at all.
Not the Jews.
Every single Jew I know is out there protesting against the starvation and the murder of the Palestinian people.
It's not murder, is it? It's war. It's not murder. Were we murdering Germans in the Second World War? Were we murdering Germans in the Second World War, or were we killing people on the enemy?
He's gonna clean Gaza out completely now. You watch it. You'll have those people round up in the camps, moved out the area, and if they refuse to get out the way, they'll be killed as they have.
I mean, apparently they've been claiming they've been living in an open-air prison all this time. You'd think they'd be happy to go. I'm sure that their Arab neighbours that care so much about them will be thrilled to have them.
If you create an inhospitable environment for people and then say, oh, by the way, you should probably leave because it's inhospitable, that is ethnic cleansing, it's murder.
I hate to tell you, Hamas created an inhospitable environment for people in Gaza.
Every single authority of any credibility on the world stage has criticised this and called it for what it is, and that's a genocide.
It's a genocide, except there isn't mass killing of Palestinian people,
yes, there is.
If Israel wanted to wipe out the people of Gaza, Israel could have done it on October the 8th.
It's doing it right now in front of us.
They're doing it right now, are they? Yeah. You need to stop watching so much on the BBC, mate.
Okay, well,
no, you really do. You need to
swap up the BBC for Talk TV instead. Then
I can assure you get more accurate news on this station. I can absolutely assure you do. We're going to have to leave it there. Time is against us. 10:49. Always good to get you on the show, James Matthewson. Thank you for that.